There's a white powder sitting on the shelf of your local hardware store right now. It costs less than $5 per pound. It has been killing termites on contact since 1934. Once it is inside the wood of your home, termites cannot develop resistance to it. Not in 10 years, not in 50, not ever. It does not expire, it does not wash away. Applied indoors, it never loses strength. For 90 years, this compound has been the most proven termite solution in the scientific record. So why have you never heard of it? If that question makes you angry, subscribe, because that anger is justified, and this video is going to show you exactly why. Termites cause more property damage in the United States every single year than tornadoes, house fires, and earthquakes combined. That is not an estimate. That is a federal damage assessment. 600,000 American homes are attacked annually. The average homeowner who finds termite damage spends $3,000 on repairs alone, separate from treatment costs. Most homeowner insurance policies will not pay a single dollar because the fine print classifies termite damage as a failure of preventable maintenance. So you pay the insurance premium, you pay the exterminator, you pay for the repairs, and the industry collects at every step. Globally, termite damage costs an estimated $40 billion per year, according to peer-reviewed research published in 2024 by North Carolina State University. 80% of that destruction is caused by subterranean species, the kind living under American homes right now. And against all of them, a mineral compound that costs pennies has been proven devastatingly effective for nearly a century. The compound is called boric acid. It is not a trade secret. It is not classified. It is a naturally occurring mineral found in volcanic rock and soil, registered with the EPA as an insecticide since 1948, and currently listed in the International Building Code as a legitimate alternative to synthetic chemical treatments. And yet, the average American homeowner has never heard it mentioned in the same sentence as termites. They did not stop recommending it because it stopped working. They stopped because it worked too well. Let me show you exactly what it does. When a termite walks through boric acid dust, microscopic crystals cling to the exoskeleton. The insect grooms itself and ingests the compound. Boric acid then attacks the termite's gut microbiome, the internal bacterial ecosystem that allows termites to digest wood. A 2024 study published in the Journal of Economic Entomology by researchers at North Carolina State confirmed that boric acid causes severe disruption of this gut microbiome, eliminating the essential digestive bacteria and triggering a cascade of opportunistic pathogens. The termite cannot eat. Its internal systems collapse. It dies. But here is where boric acid becomes something the industry genuinely fears. Termites are cannibals. When a contaminated termite returns to the colony and dies, its nestmates consume the carcass. The boric acid transfers to the next body, and the next. Researchers who first documented this in the 1930s called it a chain reaction inside the colony. One contaminated worker can silently dismantle a colony from the inside out. In 1934, researchers at the University of California tested this directly. Termites exposed to wood treated with a 5% boric acid solution all died within 4 days. Every single one. A separate soil barrier test prevented termite penetration entirely over a full 12-month period. In 2001, a U.S. Forest Service study confirmed that subterranean termite colonies, including the Formosan species, the most aggressive on Earth, suffered steadily increasing mortality at concentrations as low as 1/4%. In laboratory assessments from Brazil, concentrations between 2,000 and 3,000 parts per million caused 100% colony mortality. The Formosan termite is worth understanding for a moment, because it is the species that turned New Orleans into a disaster zone after Hurricane Katrina. These colonies can exceed 1 million individuals. A single colony can consume a pound of wood every day, and Japanese builders were stopping them with boric acid-treated newspaper laid beneath wooden structures. Australian researchers confirmed a 1% concentration reduced wood consumption to 5% or less, while untreated wood was consumed at rates above 80%. The science is not ambiguous. It never was. Now follow the money. The United States pest control industry generated over $28 billion in revenue last year alone. It grows at nearly 8% annually. There are over 33,000 pest control companies operating across the country. The top 4 corporations control more than a quarter of the entire market. The crown jewel of this empire is termite contracts. A standard termite treatment runs between $1,000 and $3,000 up front. Then it renews every year at $300 to $800, indefinitely. That is the revenue model Wall Street loves. Predictable, recurring, and completely dependent on the homeowner never solving the problem themselves. Now, ask what happens when a homeowner discovers that a $5 box of boric acid powder from any hardware store treats dozens of linear feet of exposed wood, stays active indefinitely, and requires no license to purchase. The entire business model collapses. You cannot patent boric acid. You cannot make it proprietary. You cannot generate annual renewal fees from a mineral that was formed inside a volcano. So the industry did what industries always do when a cheap solution threatens expensive contracts. They lobbied, they regulated, they made it invisible. Termite treatment was quietly folded into professional licensing frameworks built around genuinely toxic synthetic chemicals. Compounds like fipronil and imidacloprid that can contaminate groundwater if misapplied. Boric acid, which the EPA classifies as less acutely toxic to mammals than table salt, got swept into the same regulatory net. And so a homeowner can legally buy boric acid at any hardware store, use it to kill cockroaches in the kitchen, but faces legal gray zones if he applies it to his own foundation for termites. Same powder, same compound. Different rules. Rules that funnel every termite problem through a licensed contractor charging a $1,000 minimum. The industry's current gold standard is a proprietary baiting system that can only be purchased and installed by licensed companies holding strict corporate certifications. The active principle is identical to what boric acid does. Slow-acting poison spread through the colony via feeding and grooming. One version costs $5, the other costs $5,000. And the industry controls which one you hear about. Here is what you can actually do. Safety first. Wear gloves and a dust mask when handling the powder. Keep it away from children and pets. It is low toxicity, but it is still a pesticide. For prevention, which is the most powerful application, buy boric acid powder at any hardware store. Use a hand bellows duster or squeeze bottle to puff a thin film of dry powder into wall cavities, gaps along baseboards, and openings around plumbing. The critical point, apply a barely visible layer. If you can see clumps, you use too much. Termites navigate by chemical signals, and a heavy visible pile of anything foreign will cause them to route around it. A thin, invisible film will not. They walk through it without detecting it and carry the compound back to the colony. For exposed wood, mix 1 teaspoon of boric acid per cup of warm water. Stir until clear and spray it directly onto joists, sill plates, rim boards, and any wood with soil contact or near plumbing penetrations. Those penetrations are the highways termites use to enter a structure. The solution soaks into the wood fibers and remains there permanently as long as the wood stays dry. There is no degradation indoors. There is no expiration. A single treatment during construction can protect the structure for its entire service life, which is why the industry abandoned it. For active infestations, mix boric acid powder with damp cardboard or sawdust and a small amount of honey to improve adhesion. Place these bait stations near known activity. Mud tubes along your foundation are the clearest sign. Termites are drawn to the cellulose in the cardboard. They feed, carry the compound back to the nest, and the chain reaction begins. One homeowner documented placing 4 stations in his crawl space in March. By June, his annual inspection found 0 termite activity. His first clean inspection in 7 years. Total cost? Under $8. Be honest about the limits. Boric acid is not the right tool for a massive established infestation already hollowing out structural beams deep inside a wall. In those cases, professional intervention may be necessary. But the industry will never tell you this. Prevention is where boric acid is absolutely dominant. Applied before the colony establishes, it makes your home structurally invisible to termites. And prevention is exactly what the pest control industry fears most, because a homeowner who prevents the problem never makes the phone call. Your grandfather understood this. That generation dusted wall cavities with boric acid the same way they changed their own oil and repaired their own roofs. Then, a $28 billion industry spent decades convincing an entire generation that termite control was too complex, too dangerous, and too specialized for a regular homeowner to handle. They turned a $5 solution into a $5,000 problem. And they have been collecting on that lie ever since. The EPA registered it, the International Building Code endorsed it, university studies from California to North Carolina to Japan to Australia confirmed it. The only thing standing between you and the answer is an industry that profits from your not knowing it exists. Boric acid is still sitting on that shelf. It has been there the entire time.